Hello everyone, Tirak here, back with another episode of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates Plus mod. So things have been kind of looking up for us, despite the somewhat low prestige number we're looking at. USS Argus, a light carrier, we purchased it last time and it's been doing pretty well. Turns out that 8 fighters is one heck of a commerce rating force. Backed up by the USS Richards, which is a pretty decent frigate equipped with drone launchers and plasma torpedoes. We've been doing alright, I think. Federation has even pushed out into the neutral zone, taken this square here and this hex here. We still haven't recovered this planet, but we're going to need some real heavy boys to take care of that one for us. If we kind of keep up this progress, we may start pushing the Klingon Empire back enough, really give us some breathing room on this front. So let's get down in there and get to work. Ambush. Ambush the enemy. There will be an enemy sort of in the middle of us, and there shouldn't be a few of us, maybe just one of us, but hopefully a few. Yep! We've got the USS Grant and the USS Cochrane way out there as we all try and jump this heavy cruiser. Looks like it's a syndicate heavy cruiser, so we can get a little bit of a revenge for all those criminals who've been wiping out our previous frigates. And looks like he's coming towards us. So the Argus is not exactly what you'd consider a frontline fighter. We're more zip around the outskirts and dump a couple of fighter squadrons on you. So there he is, blasting away at long range. And I'm going to put a point into our ECM just to make us a little bit harder to hit. So your ECM generator gives you a defense shift, and what that causes is his weapon accuracy to go down. I'm not quite sure just by how much, but even a small amount of ECM can have a pretty significant effect on an enemy. He's equipped with plasma torpedoes. Doesn't look like he's got any sort of point defense system unless those plasma Ds are it. So we're going to launch our fighters out, tell them to go attack. Got the Richards keeping pace with us. The refit frigate design. If we get in close with the Richards, his heavy plasma, well not heavy, but his light plasma torpedoes can do some pretty nice damage. Oh god, we gotta call him back. So, yeah, Plasma Ds apparently are the point defense plasmas, and as you can see, they're a nightmare for us. So we're not going to have much effect on this battle at all. At least not until those Plasma Ds are down. See if we can't dart in here and rescue our fighter group before they get schwacked. Wow, what are those? That's a cool looking ship. Anyway, our job is done here. Thanks to the fantastic reaction times of the USS Grant and the USS Cochrane. They're apparently a much heavy carrier than we are. Much better weapons too. They could actually follow that up. So we got to dart back here. Go back to our supplies. Make sure that it's Argus selected. Gotta replace a whole fighter squadron. Eesh. 96. Let's see if there's any other carriers. What's sort of the next tier that we're looking at? Carriers will be CV something. So CVS plus. It's a strike carrier. And, 4 photon torpedoes, 2 drone racks, 8 fighters. So it's basically us except some additional firepower. And that was 2064. That might be a little bit in the future for us. So let's push out into space. We're avoiding the sector. It's a nebula, and we don't want to have to deal with it. Nebulas are even worse for us because fighters take damage just standing in nebulas. So we'll get right back on the fight. Do a little more police work in friendly territory. And our little freighter buddies. Now the heavy cruiser. I'm getting a little sick of these Orion heavy cruisers. But I suppose we have a job to do. Really, if you think about it, the light carrier that we've got is kind of equivalent to what would have been a World War II escort carrier. And this is kind of exactly the sort of jobs that they have to do. Escorting convoys, doing light support work. So I guess it's all part of the job description. And we'll fire a probe, see what we're up to here. With any luck, he won't have any plasma Ds, and we'll be able to cause some pretty significant damage. And in range. He's a drone type. Type A drones I don't think have built-in anti-missile defenses. A couple of them do, but don't think this is one of them. So 4, 5, 6, 7 phaser 1s, 4 phaser 3s. He's got a nice amount of point defense systems, but it's not overwhelming. So we're going to set course around the outside. And we should have done this sooner, but we're going to prep a scatter pack. And we're going to get these fighters rocking and rolling. There's actually hotkeys to do this automatically, and I'll probably look those up at some point. Running a shuttle carrier is not something I'm really used to, so don't really have all the stuff that I would probably need to do it. I've been firing like this. Gotta make sure we keep our distance. He's maintaining one heck of a speed. So let's keep away from this. Luckily drone launchers don't cost us any power. But I think, yeah, he's outrunning our drones. His fighter squadrons are doing front-on attacks. Make sure he can't keep doing that. And the Richards has decided that it needs to do something weird. Alright, our scatter pack's ready, but again, oh, no, he's come down in speed. We might be able to take advantage of this. We'll come in kind of close to him. Wow, these fighters. I am constantly impressed by these fighters. And let's give him a nasty surprise. That's probably the last of the heavy weapons from our fighters. Don't fly near that mine. Good show. Eesh. Fighter got a little too close to that mine. So yeah, looks like heavy cruisers, if we can isolate them, we can do a pretty good job ripping into them. Not a single loss, 366 prestige. I kind of want to keep darting down here, but I'm not quite sure of the status of my ship. We're going to push in. There was nothing. Missions. Asteroid base defense. I feel kind of confident going on this unless we run into dreadnoughts or something. Because we'll have an asteroid base to support us. A Hodgson, which is sort of a converted phaser carrier, I guess, or maybe just a heavy transport. And it's the Green! She's back. Back in refit form. Got a frigate and a freighter. Maybe it's some kind of commando transport. Oh, we got another one. So 2 frigates and a freighter. Get our shuttle conversion going. And we have two active two docked squadrons, so we should not have too many problems in that department. The one thing I noticed that the Orion Pirates Plus mod wasn't able to do anything about was these portraits kind of obviously aren't correct. I wonder if there's another mod to sort of deal with that. Fusion cannons and Gatling phasers. So the phaser Gatling is an interesting weapon. What it essentially is 4 phaser 3s and a single hardpoint. So for every dot, he can fire 4 times, and it only costs him 1 energy. It's a pretty effective weapon, primarily, as you might imagine, for point defense. Although if you can get in close with a couple of phaser Gatlings, you can deal some serious amounts of damage. We'll give him a little bit of some drone pressure. Oh boy, our squadrons are rather reduced.
Scatter pack shuttle ready.
I want to save the scatter pack just a little while anyway. See if that Klingon ship is going to require it. Yeah, that transport's not really built for this sort of show. We're going to dump this scatter pack early. Oh, we got to get our fighters out of there right now. We lost a squadron. Picked him up. So we are significantly less effective than we would normally be. All of those. Those plasma torpedoes are just so wonderful to watch at the target. So what he has there is defensive tractor beams. You come up here, you'll have these options. That's the number of tractor beams that you can maintain to stop drones from hitting you. But it costs power, so if at any point you lose power, it'll shut off and the drone will slam right into you. So one thing I'm noticing about our light carriers, we don't have a whole heck of a lot of staying power for sort of long-term strategic deployments. Well, yeah, we can kind of handle a lot of pressure sort of in just a normal fight. That's what you're useful for. We really do kind of suffer from the fact that we've only got 8 fighters and we kind of need all 8 of them. He doesn't have his fusion cannons ready. Looks like the Greens got that one pretty well sorted. And there's no way we will get a missile barrage through his Gatling phasers. Although, looks like he is heavily damaged. He's still got 8 people on board though. I'd like to keep the Hodgson from dying, but I don't have a whole heck of a lot of say in that. My heavy weapons consist of, well, 2 missile launchers and 3 phasers. So we're not exactly an authority on who gets to live and who gets to die here. The Richards, however, can really be an arbiter of that with heavy plasma torpedoes. When he gets them powered up enough, there goes the Hodgson. He can really be an arbiter of what happens and what doesn't. In the meantime, we have to kind of fight out on the periphery, pick off small units, since our fighter squadron is so reduced. And he's got enough tractors to power both of them. Cloaking device. Not used to seeing those out in Klingon space. They're kind of rare. A little bit more common on the pirates. Fun fact, in-universe, the Romulans ended up trading their cloaking technology in exchange for ship designs. So there is a whole tier of ships in Romulan space that are basically just reused Klingon designs. And around that time period, you'll also start seeing a couple of these lighter cloaking ships. Generally the frigates. You won't see a whole heck of a lot of like battle cruisers with a cloaking device. That's much more a Romulan thing. Yeah, aside from the loss of the Hodgson, which is regrettable, I don't think we're gonna have much more trouble out here. We'll swoop in, deal some damage over here. Ah, that was a waste of missiles. And we'll get our fighters stuck in this one. With no anti-missile defense system left, and his phaser Gs have just fired, he should be ripe for the picking. And we'll get them away from that ship so that when it explodes, we don't lose any. That's gotta be embarrassing to be killed by something like us. Oh, there we go. 264, not bad. And right by a starbase so we can come back and resupply. Unfortunately, we're going to pay through the nose to get those back. Yeah, 156. Practically that entire battle almost wiped out by the fact that we had to rearm, repair. Nope, a little bit of a patch job. And we're not really using marines, mines, or spare parts at all, so we'll keep clunking along without buying anything on them. And push out into space. Go patrol again. The last time we had an option for scout. By not picking it, we ran into 2 heavy cruisers. And bump up the speed. 22. Richard's just going to try and match us. Be a little bit early on that. Force all. Just to give us a nice little light buffer. Although this shield here and this shield here are really weak. Looks like we found a frigate. And another frigate. Couldn't tell you which one's more dangerous, although maybe this one. Maybe it's traveling faster. Yeah, this one's going to be stronger. Again, you can see how this one is the classic Klingon bird of prey design. That's kind of the smallest ship they're going to have. At least in the base game is. And this is the more larger, more capable frigate. And he's got an anti-missile defense system. We're going to have to take that out ASAP. It's probably the most dangerous thing about him. Phaser 2's not so much of a threat. Phaser 1's a little bit of a threat. Disruptor's no threat to our fighters. But that AMD could really ruin our day. Purely because so much of our armament is stuck in on those fighters. And we're not one of them strike carriers, which is basically packing an entire heavy cruiser armament in addition to the fighter complement. Yeah, they're being a little bit accurate. And dump a couple of missiles their way. Sort of give them something to think about. Keep converting that scatter pack. We're going to want that done as soon as possible. Although I would bet you almost anything they'll dump a wild weasel the moment the scatter pack gets too close. Okay, it doesn't have the most effective anti-missile system. Wasn't particularly accurate. We want to avoid taking damage on that shield. It's not a good shield. Get the scatter pack out. Now, the problem with attack geometry here is if he pulls up a bit, he'll be able to help with his point defense. And he's got some too. He's got a much better one. But I think we can take advantage of this a little bit. Oh, would you look at that? He dumped his shuttle, but didn't end up using it. Come on, shock it down. Okay, so when it flashes yellow, it means the component has been shocked. And a shocked component is temporarily offline. Yeah, now it's destroyed. Let's get the fighters back before they get into too much trouble. We don't want to lose ships for no reason. And he doesn't look too dangerous. Hopefully we don't actually have to replace 2 aircraft. Okay, fighters are on board. Now we can sort of lay into him a little bit. Kind of almost want to order boarding parties. We'll see what kind of damage we can deal before we send in boarding parties. If we can get this down to about 3, I'll order a capture attempt. And his point defense just ran out of ammo. 5. Come on, 1 more. Let's get in a little bit closer. Now, point defense only has so many shots in it before it runs out of ammo and has to reload. And when it reloads, well, it can take a while depending on the rack, and it's only got so many of them. Alright, we're going to capture this guy, or at least try. So that means we've got to give the order to capture target. Now hopefully, he will get the memo. Now the reason you want to capture targets in this game is purely because you get additional prestige for capturing something. If we get it, we won't keep his ship, but it'd be nice to have. Just the additional prestige. Oh! Didn't mean to fire a missile. Let's deselect that. We don't want to be hurling missiles at him. We want to keep him alive long enough to steal him. Let's see if the Richards adds into this. Nah, he's not. I think he's just limiting himself to knocking down shields. Darn it. Too much. We lost 2 Marines. That's okay. Normally, you'll start trying to do capture targets with heavy cruisers. Because a heavy cruiser, he's got 4 transporters, he can make it happen a little bit quicker. He's also got a heck of a lot more staying power. And we're going to dart back here. Scan mission came up. We'll finish the scan mission, and then we'll call it an episode there. So we'll just restock one of these. Put in a full set of reloads. And rock the scan. Scan a planet. Kill anybody who might be in the area. And get out. The main mission in this purely is to scan this planet. We don't have to deal with the enemy if we don't want to. Of course we're going to try. Because if there is an enemy on the map, he's worth bonus prestige. And if we can make a nice amount of prestige on this mission, we might be able to get one of those sexy strike cruisers. And then we will be less relegated to this sort of looping around, relying on our fighters, and able to back them up as they go in. So, let's see. Richards, planet, and a freighter. We'll keep an eye on him. That way, if he's all alone, we'll be able to take severe advantage of that. Because I honestly can't really think of a freighter who's going to be able to stand up to even our just onboard armament, much less our fighters. So in order to do this mission, we get within a range of 10 of the planet. We go over to our science tab here, and we activate a deep scan. It'll scan the planet. The science officer will come up in a dialog box over here and say, we've scanned the planet, and then we can leave if we want. We'll turn and kill him unless he gets too close. I don't think I can, but I kind of wish I could just issue commands for him to... Is he... Says he's attacking current target. FLRG. Oh, so he is. Is he? Oh, he's selected to attack the target, but he'll keep a relatively close formation. Planet getting big in the mirror. Slow down a bit. You can run into planets, and if you do, you will explode. Same thing for asteroids. So activate the deep scan. Coast to a stop. And he's 65 away, so not too worried about him interrupting us before we complete our deep scan here. Avoid pressing the self-destruct button. We used that when we blew up the Powell, because we didn't just want to sit there and get murdered. And also, if we had been really lucky and he was damaged enough and he didn't have a shield facing us, self-destruct and kill your enemies nearby. So beginning scan, we have the primary data. Okay, so deselect that, select you. It turns out that you made the worst decision to just show up all on your own. So we'll launch probe at you. Just confirm you don't have any real defenses. Nah, phaser 2, phaser 3. We'll hit range 30 and launch the fighters. And get in there. Do some damage. This should be some nice easy prestige. Turns out this is probably one of our best runs that we've had so far. So a full lucky episode instead of the ups and downs we've been having before. Gotta say, from a personal perspective, I'm happy, but I guess it doesn't make for quite as entertaining viewing as when everything is going to absolute hell. Don't shoot my fighters, you can't hurt them anyway. And he used a wild weasel. But that won't save you. Wonderful. And that's all. Everybody's dead. Not very Federation Captain-like. So let's see how that one ended up going. Hoping we got a ton. 20 for the mission, and then 180 for blowing up the ships. 200. That puts us at 1580. We're kind of saving up at this point for... Up, it's been shipped off and sent to war. So this shipyard list will update as things go on. Only ships sort of in the area will be on it. If we come back later, there will be a new set of ships that are on this list. And that way sort of references the fact that you may want a new ship, but you may not be able to get that new ship because it's somewhere else. Starting to see a lot of frigate leaders. So we're really hitting that new tech season with a vengeance. Drone carriers are nice, but kind of difficult to keep in supply. That would really kind of slow down our movement. CVPR, a patrol carrier, that gets 12 fighters. 28 power, so that's pretty similar to what we got. Adds a drone rack, but it's only a single. So it looks like this would sort of be a little bit of an upgrade on us. We would get 3 more phasers, because we've only got 1, 1, and 1. We would gain an additional 2 point defense phasers, the 2 phaser 3s. But we would lose a missile launcher slot, but we would gain 4 fighters. It kind of looks nice, but I really kind of want one of those strike carriers, and we're another 500 or so away from that. So that's sort of the goal at this point. We're going to save up for that 2,000 and something we needed for the strike carrier. So that's where we'll leave it for now. Until then, I've been Tirak. Thank you for joining me. If you like what we're doing here, hit that likes button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.